Hey, everyone, and welcome to a new series where we're diving deep into the world of figures of speech. You know, those literary devices that make language sing, dance, and sometimes even do a little stand-up comedy. Today, we're tackling 10 common figures of speech that add so much color and depth to our everyday conversations, our favorite books, and even those political speeches we might try to avoid. Get ready to unlock hidden meanings, appreciate the art of persuasion, and maybe even impress your friends with your newfound linguistic prowess. Let's get to it. All right, let's start with a classic irony. You know, like when you walk into a room clearly marked quiet study area, only to be met with a cacophony of coughs, whispers, and frantic keyboard clicks. Irony is all about the gap between expectation and reality. It's that moment when you realize something is the opposite of what it seems, often with a humorous or sarcastic undertone. Think of the iconic line from Dr. Strangelove, "Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room." Pure comedic gold, right? Irony can be a bit tricky to grasp, but once you get it, you start seeing it everywhere. It's like a secret language that adds layers of meaning to even the simplest statements. Next up, we have the metaphor, a true master of imagery. Metaphors create powerful comparisons between two seemingly unrelated things, revealing hidden connections and adding layers of meaning. Instead of saying someone is sad, a metaphor might describe them as drowning in sorrow, instantly creating a more vivid and emotional image in your mind. One of my favorite examples comes from William Sharp. "My heart is a lonely hunter that hunts on a lonely hill." See how that simple comparison evokes such a profound sense of isolation and longing? That's the magic of a well-crafted metaphor. Now, if metaphors are masters of disguise, similes are their more straightforward cousins. Similes also make comparisons, but they like to keep things clear by using words like, or, as. Think of similes as the friendly tour guides of the literary world, pointing out similarities with phrases like as slippery as an eel or like peas in a pod. They might not be as subtle as metaphors, but similes get the job done, quickly and effectively conveying comparisons to enhance our understanding, plus they're just plain fun to use. Chapter 4, Personification, giving life to the inanimate. Ever feel like the wind is whispering secrets or the trees are watching you? Well, that's personification at work. This figure of speech gives human qualities to inanimate objects or abstract ideas, making them relatable and, dare I say, a little more interesting. Imagine describing a sunset as just colorful. Now imagine saying the sun blushed crimson as it dipped below the horizon. See how much more engaging and evocative that is. Personification breathes life into language, allowing us to connect with the world around us in a more imaginative and meaningful way. Chapter 5, Hyperbole, exaggeration at its finest. Okay, let's be honest, we've all been guilty of using a hyperbole or two, or a million in our lives. Hyperbole is the art of exaggeration, often used for emphasis or comedic effect. When you say, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse," you're not literally suggesting equine consumption, right? Hopefully not. Hyperbole adds drama and humor to language, making our stories more engaging and our complaints a bit more entertaining. Just remember, like all good things, hyperbole is best used in moderation. Chapter 6. Paradox, embracing contradictions. Get ready to have your mind twisted because here comes the paradox. This figure of speech delights in contradictions, presenting seemingly illogical statements that, upon closer examination, reveal a deeper truth. George Orwell was a master of paradox. In his dystopian masterpiece, 1984, he famously wrote, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength." These statements are obviously not literally true, but they force us to confront the unsettling ways in which power can warp reality and manipulate language. Chapter 7, Oxymoron, when contradictions collide. If paradox is the philosophical cousin, then oxymoron is the more playful sibling. Oxymorons combine contradictory terms to create a surprising and often humorous effect. Think of phrases like jumbo shrimp or living dead. See how these contradictory words create a sense of irony and intrigue. Oxymorons are like linguistic puzzles, forcing us to pause and ponder the unexpected pairings, often revealing a deeper meaning or a clever play on words. Adjunction might sound a bit intimidating, but it's really just about playing with word order to create a specific effect. Instead of saying the bird sings as we walk by, adjunction might have us say, sings the bird as we walk on by. See how that subtle shift in word order adds a touch of poetry and emphasizes the bird's song. Adjunction allows writers to control the rhythm and emphasis of their sentences, creating a more impactful and memorable reading experience. All right, time to put on our metaphorical thinking caps for this one. An allegory is like a literary treasure hunt where the characters, events, and even objects represent abstract ideas or concepts. One of the most famous examples is George Orwell's Animal Farm. On the surface, it's a story about talking animals who overthrow their human farmer. But beneath the surface lies a sharp critique of totalitarian regimes and the dangers of unchecked power. Allegories invite us to think critically, to look beyond the literal and uncover the deeper meanings woven throughout the narrative. Last but not least, we have alliteration, the figure of speech that's all about the sounds. Alliteration uses repetition of consonant sounds, especially at the beginning of words, to create a musical effect. Think of tongue twisters like "she sells seashells by the seashore," or poetic lines like "while I pondered, weak and weary." Alliteration adds rhythm and flow to language, making it more pleasing to the ear and more memorable. It's like adding a touch of melody to your words, making them sing. And that's a wrap on our whirlwind tour of 10 common figures of speech. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the subtle irony of everyday life to the grand allegories that challenge our thinking. Remember, language is a living, breathing thing, constantly evolving and surprising us with its power and beauty. Figures of speech are the tools that allow us to unlock that power, to communicate more effectively, to persuade, to entertain, and to connect with each other on a deeper level. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep playing with the magic of language. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Until next time, happy reading and even happier writing.